process begins at the log yard. Truck after truck unloads full-length logs directly from managed forests. These are not finished materials, just raw timber, still covered in bark, still uneven, still heavy with moisture. Hydraulic cranes grip each log and place it onto steel racks. Every movement is calculated. The flow never stops. This factory is built for volume. Hundreds of logs enter the system every single day. Logs roll onto the log deck. Heavy steel rollers rotate each trunk into position while sensors scan diameter and length. Only logs within precise size ranges move forward. Logs that are too curved, cracked, or irregular are diverted automatically. Plywood starts with uniform input. Without this step, nothing downstream would stay consistent. Every log that continues has already passed its first inspection. Before veneer can be peeled, the wood must be softened. Logs are submerged in heated water tanks or exposed to saturated steam. Temperatures rise slowly, penetrating deep into the wood fibers. This heat softens the lignin that binds the fibers together. Without it, the veneer would tear instead of peel. Time here matters. Too little heat causes cracks. Too much damages the grain. Once softened, logs move into the debarking system. Inside rotating steel drums, friction strips the bark away layer by layer. Chunks of bark fall onto separate conveyors below. Removing bark is critical. It protects peeling blades, it prevents contamination, it improves veneer quality. The bark is not discarded, it will return later as fuel. remaining logs are now centered. Machines align each log perfectly on its axis, compensating for natural irregularities. This ensures the veneer will be peeled evenly. Every millimeter matters here. Misalignment means wasted wood. Only when the log is perfectly centered does it move forward. This is the heart of plywood manufacturing. The log spins continuously on a rotary lathe. A razor-sharp blade presses gently against the surface. As the log turns, a continuous sheet of veneer peels away, thin, flexible, and unbroken. It emerges like paper from a massive roll. Thickness is tightly controlled, usually between 1 and 3 millimeters. Sensors adjust blade pressure in real time. What remains at the center is a solid wood core, removed and sent for reuse. fresh veneer sheets move into trimming stations. Edges are cut clean. Tears, knots, and surface defects are removed. The veneer is now classified. Base veneer for visible surfaces, core veneer for internal layers. Nothing advances unless it meets visual and structural standards. Wet veneer cannot be glued. Sheets enter massive industrial dryers, moving continuously on rollers or mesh belts. Inside, temperatures exceed 160 degrees Celsius. Moisture evaporates in seconds. Steam rises as veneer exits dry, flat, and stable. Moisture content drops to under 10%. This step defines long-term panel strength. Now the bonding begins. Core veneers pass through glue spreaders that coat both sides evenly. The adhesive is carefully chosen. Phenolic resin for exterior-grade plywood urea, resin for interior use. Too little glue causes delamination. Too much weakens the panel.
This
Precision
layered
is
structure
everything.
is the secret to plywood's strength, a hidden engineering marvel.
Veneer layers are stacked one by one. Each layer is rotated 90 degrees relative to the one below. This cross-grain structure gives plywood its strength and stability. 3-ply, 5-ply, or 7-ply panels take shape. The outer faces are selected for appearance. At this stage, the panel still feels loose. That will change quickly. Assembled panels enter the hot press. Steel plates close with enormous pressure while heat activates the glue. Temperatures reach up to 150 degrees Celsius. Minutes later, the layers fuse permanently into a single solid board. The structure is locked. What exits the press is no longer veneer, it is plywood. Rough edges are removed. Panels are trimmed to standard dimensions, most commonly 4 by 8 feet. Sanding machines smooth both surfaces. Thickness is equalized. The surface becomes flat, clean, and ready for use.
The new line is running smoothly.
Yes, we're ahead of schedule for the day.
Every panel is inspected. Technicians check flatness, bonding strength, and surface quality. Panels are graded for construction or furniture use. Any defective board is removed immediately. Only compliant plywood moves forward.
This shipment is ready for Bay 4.
Copy that. We'll load it now.
Raw logs to finished plywood sheets, the entire process forms a closed industrial loop. Waste becomes fuel. Heat powers production. Nothing is left unused. This is how modern plywood is made, at scale, with precision, without interruption.